When did you realize the phrase money isn't everything is actually true? Growing up as the oldest daughter meant that I was an expert at helping people who treated me like garbage. I was 10, and my youngest brother Eli was 4 when he was supposed to have his first day at school. But instead, he stayed home because while me and my other 2 siblings attended expensive private schools, Eli would be homeschooled. You see, Eli was a little quirky. He hated eye contact, had meltdowns over everything, and hated any change in routine. So despite having the kindest heart in the world, my parents were ashamed of him. Their favorite conversation topic consisted of expressing how happy they were that I was a good kid because it made up for the regret of having Eli. By the time I turned 14 and Eli was 8, things had gotten worse. What was meant to be his classroom in the basement was really just a playroom with no toys and locks on the outside. While my sister Madison and brother Tyler went to a $10,000 per year school with me, Eli stayed home with whatever nanny my mom hired that month. None of them lasted long because my parents never told them about Eli's needs. They just said he was difficult. It was around this time that I picked up my favorite hobby, learning to sneak downstairs when no one was looking to teach Eli basic math and English. Because when you worked with him properly, he was amazing. He just needed patience and understanding. 2 things my father, the hotshot family court lawyer, didn't have time for. And my mother was too busy with her charity boards to care about her actual charity case at home. And my plan was going smoothly until it all came crashing down during my dad's annual holiday party. All his lawyer friends were in the living room drinking expensive whiskey. I was upstairs doing homework, and that's when the screaming started. I instantly knew it was Eli. As I sprinted downstairs, my blood went cold. He had already started banging on the walls and hurting himself. But just before I could open the door, my dad caught me in the hallway. "Get back to your room," he said, his tone cold and assertive. But just before I could leave, Eli started screaming on the other side of the door. "I need help! Someone help me!" And I guess my dad realized his colleagues could hear what was going on because he completely froze. The house was so quiet you could practically hear the walls raise. Suddenly a smirk crept onto my face because Eli had somehow figured out how to call 911 and we could hear him telling the operator that his parents locked him up. My father ripped the phone away, but it was too late. In just minutes, our house was swarming with police and CPS workers. Hope filled my heart until my dad flashed his court ID badge. It's okay, I'm a family lawyer, so it's not uncommon for my clients to lie in their reports at me. I stared at the social worker with desperate eyes, trying to convince her to stay and talk, but she just smiled. "Oh, no problem. I understand," she said before leaving. I thought my dad's rich friends would say something, or at least be somewhat disturbed, but no. Instead, they started laughing. "Don't worry, the same thing happened to me last week," one of them said. "Kids are so spoiled nowadays," another chimed in. That evening, the case was determined as unfounded. I was grounded indefinitely for trying to ruin the family. But it wasn't just our parents that punished me and Eli. It was my younger sister Madison too. She refused to call him anything other than the R slur and constantly made loud noises to trigger a meltdown. My parents rewarded her with a new car for her loyalty. And after a while, my parents started blaming me for Eli, so much so that I was forced into therapy. Which sounds good, except it was with my dad's friend who reported everything I said back to my parents. I knew I had to find a way out for Eli, but I had no idea how to help him. TBH, I was hoping the problem would go away by itself. And one day, it did. Because Madison failed her entrance exam to the elite high school, the one I helped her study for. Suddenly, Eli wasn't locked in the basement anymore. I was. And my parents started calling him their special boy and buying him toys. But instead of defending me, Eli joined in. When he spilled juice, he'd point at me and say, "She made me do it." When he had a meltdown, he'd scream, "It's her fault." And my parents ate it up every single time. But I wasn't filled with anger or sadness. Instead, I was happy. Because seeing Eli actually getting fed regularly and not crying himself to sleep was worth it. But one thing about my family is that nothing ever stays the same. But to my surprise, it was Tyler, the only one who'd been silent the whole time, who changed everything. One day, while I sat in the basement staring at the white wall trying not to think about how hungry I was, I heard something slip under the door. It was a phone. When I turned it on, I saw it was on the notes app with just one thing written. "I've been recording everything for 2 years. Full story on channel. Link below."